So with the first pick in the draft, of course, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to take Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana.
And so the Raiders go with the obvious here, Fernando Mendoza. He's got all the traits that you're looking for in a first-round quarterback, particularly being accurate on throws, over to the boundary, over to the numbers, but also the processing and the accuracy over the middle of the field, especially when the coverage shifts. Um, in front of the secondary and behind the linebackers, that's typically what you look for when it comes to processing and how it's going to translate at the NFL level. Fernando Mendoza does a great job at that. He's got a really good arm. Um, and overall, I mean, the sack rate was a little bit on the higher side, but nothing to be concerned about. Probably the biggest thing is he only took 2 snaps under center at Indiana in 2025. But I think we've seen with multiple quarterbacks, Caleb Williams being one, Jaden Daniels being another, as well as Drake May, that 2024 class. You can get quarterbacks acclimated to taking snaps under center as their NFL career goes along, and I don't think it's a big deal as far as the pre-draft process goes.
Yeah, great character guy. Love that pick for the Raiders. Let's head on over to the New York Jets, who are now on the clock, and they are going to go with Arvell Reese, linebacker, Ohio State. Jake, take me through this pick and how it'll make the poverty Jets better.
Yep, so the Jets go with Arvell Reese. This is, I think, probably not the best player on the board, but the highest upside on the board. The Jets, it seems like every year they're a few years away from contention. If they hit on a quarterback this year, whether it be Ty Simpson or next year, possibly Arch Manning, possibly Dante Moore, who I think they were hoping for this year, they'll probably be reaching playoff contender status, probably not Super Bowl status. Reese is a developmental player. He's probably a few years away from reaching his ceiling, but he certainly has the highest ceiling in the class. Aaron Glenn, who now is coordinating their defense, calling plays on the defense, he operates a 3-4 base defensive scheme. Versatility is huge in his scheme. There's a reason they took Jack Campbell in the first round in Detroit a few years ago. That versatility, that physicality, that scheme looks for all of that. Um, he can play stand up edge, but he can also drop back into coverage. He's a little bit better on coverage than he is as a pass rusher.
Mm.
Um, However, his pass rush snaps were down a little bit his final year at Ohio State, mainly because he wasn't really asked to rush the passer as much. So the eye test looks promising when he was given the opportunity to rush the passer. I wouldn't look too much into the numbers. He certainly has the highest upside of anyone else in this class.
Great analysis. And now we'll head over to the Arizona Cardinals pick, and they are going to go with edge rusher out of Texas Tech, David Bailey. I don't know much about David Bailey. Tell me about what I should know.
Yeah, so David Bailey is the best pure pass rusher in the draft. Quick off the line of scrimmage, good feet, good counter moves. He's arguably the best player in the draft. And the Cardinals need pass rush. For the past few years, they've been fortifying their offensive line. They just picked up the fifth-year option on Paris Johnson. David Bailey is the best player available. He is what a rebuilding team should go with. They don't currently have a quarterback in place. Jacoby Brissett right now is the starter. There's been talk about Ty Simpson in the second round or trading
Yeah,
up
I
into the
heard
first round.
Jacoby Brissett might be sitting out too, isn't
Mhm.
he? Or
So they don't really have a quarterback in place, so I think that puts reinforcing the offensive line in round one in favor of, an elite pass rusher. I think that puts that like kind of in the back seat. I think they should take the best player available, and that's David Bailey.
all right, now we'll head over to the Tennessee Titans. They're on the clock, and they're going to go with another Ohio State player, second in the top four, Sonny Styles, linebacker.
Yep. So this is basically Caleb Downs, but at linebacker. I went off of consensus here. I went with Styles over Jeremiah Love, who's been mocked to the Titans a lot lately. Both Robert Saleh and Brian Dable have stated that they have a lot of faith and trust in the Pollard and Spears tandem, which I think some of that is true. I think some of that is not true. I think running back is certainly in play on day two for the Titans. They need an elite playmaker on defense. They signed a lot of guys in free agency. Including John Franklin Myers. They brought over Jermaine Johnson from the Jets in a trade, but nobody stands out as a true playmaker and as a true star. These are a lot of guys who are good, but they're not great. Um, Styles fixes that. He flies all over the field. He can be the quarterback of the defense. He's a really smart player, and he's a really high character player. He's a former safety turned linebacker at Ohio State, so he has fantastic range, fantastic versatility. So he's perfect for a Tampa 2 defense and man coverage defenses. And if you look at Robert Saleh's history of developing linebackers, you go back to San Francisco where you had Fred Warner, Drake Greenlaw, and then you take a look at the New York Jets where you had C.J. Mosley and Quincy Williams. He wants a middle linebacker spot to be filled with a star and somebody who can lead the defense.
A very exciting player. Looking forward to watching his career. Now we'll head over to the New York Giants, and it's another Ohio State star. Makes you wonder how they didn't win the national championship. The New York Giants select Caleb Downs, safety.
So the Giants take probably the best player in the draft. John Harbaugh, he needs to set a tone with as his first pick as the head coach of the New York Giants. I don't think there's anybody better to do that with than the best player in the draft and one of the best prospects we've seen in recent years. The Giants secondary is incredibly lacking. It was their weak point last year. It's been a weak point for a few years now. And Downs can play not only in the box and as a run stuffer, as a blitzer, but he also has really good coverage skills and can excel like as a nickel corner. There's no part of his game that really lacks. The only knock on him is his size. He doesn't have elite size, but his football IQ, his ability to blitz, all of that makes up for that. He plays a lot bigger than he is.
Now the Browns are on the clock, and they're going to get some help in the pass blocking and run blocking game, going with an offensive tackle out of Miami, Francis Mauigoa.
Mauigoa, yep. So the Browns take Francis Mauigoa. He's a really well-built tackle. He projects as a right tackle. He'll play right tackle for the Browns. Mauigoa is the best offensive lineman in this draft, and I have him heading to the Browns because this offseason they lost all 5 starters on their offensive line. They've brought in a few reinforcements and free agency, but mainly on the interior, nobody on the exterior of the offensive line. So I think they now look to the draft to find the tackles who will protect either Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson next year. There are questions right now about an injury he has. It's a herniated disc. NFL teams right now don't think he'll need surgery at the moment, but if it does flare up, he likely will need surgery, and it'll probably end his rookie year. I don't think it's enough to cause him to slide, mainly because the injury shouldn't impact him, down the road, further into his career. So I think the Browns take a much-needed offensive lineman here at the 6th overall pick.
And I should also ask you, you did originally have the Browns trading with the Dallas Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken. Take me through why you decided not to do that in this mock draft whenever you changed your mind about it.
So I originally did have the Cowboys trading up with the Browns. I had the Cowboys giving up pick 12 and 20 to receive pick 6 and 39 in the second round. The reason I decided not to do this is because I was under the impression that Caleb Downs would be on the board. I think now that the Giants own the 5th and the 10th pick, I think the Giants will be looking to take one defensive playmaker and then add one offensive playmaker. I think they will take a defensive playmaker at pick 5, therefore not giving the Cowboys a chance to select either one of Downs or Styles, and they will then look to the offense at pick number 10.
Great, thank you for explaining that. Now we'll head over to the Washington Commanders pick, and they're going to go with pretty early for a running back, but they're going to go with a running back out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. Is he really going to be that kind of running back that gets taken super early, like the Bijan Robinsons? Leonard Fournette got drafted this high. I don't know if you would say that's Saquon. I wasn't sure if he was drafted that high. Yeah, now that I remember. Yeah.
Number 2 overall.
That's right, yeah. So you think that he's that good? Or you think this is a mistake of a pick? Or
No, I think this is the perfect pick for the Washington Commanders. I think this is actually the floor for Jeremiah Love. He will not get past pick number 7.
Wow.
And there's a chance that he goes earlier.
Really?
This is a team that wants to improve their running game, and they've made it known that they want to improve their running game. They need to take a load off Jaden Daniels, who just got hurt last year, who has a small frame and who is known to be a runner and who is known to take off. There's no better way to support a young quarterback than giving them an elite run game. Jeremiah Love has a great frame. He's a great athlete, amazing coordination, and he is an all-around playmaker. He's got great contact balance, great vision, everything you look for in a top 10 running back. It's not something that comes out of every draft, but Jeremiah Love certainly is worthy of that pick. Um, the Commanders, they brought in Rashad White. They have Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I think those
Bill.
guys are going to be competing for those guys are going to be competing for the number 2 role behind another running back, whether it be Jeremiah Love or whether it be another running back that they draft, because neither of them are viable options to start, and have proved that time and time again last year and for Rashad White in years previous. So Love adds a much needed third dimension to the Washington offense. Bringing fantastic pass catching ability, great vision, great contact balance.
The New Orleans Saints are up next, and the first wide receiver goes off the board here at number 8, and it's going to be a kind of a shocker, in my opinion. You went with wide receiver out of Arizona State, Jordan Tyson. Many were expecting this first pick to be Carnell Tate. Take me through why you're taking Jordan Tyson, who has some injury concerns here and there. So,
Yep, I will address Carnell Tate in just a few picks because I don't have Carnell Tate going too far after. As far as Jordan Tyson, I think Jordan Tyson is easily the best receiver in this class and the most talented receiver in this class. He put up great numbers when he was healthy. He put great film up. He has wide receiver 1 ability and amazing versatility. He can line up in the slot. He can line up as an X receiver. He has great explosiveness, great long speed. He really can be a top tier receiver. Great at the catch point, really good in contested catch situations. He is everything you ask for from a wide receiver 1. He can really do it all. All it takes is
how do
one.
I know this isn't another Keon Coleman?
I think mainly because of his route running. His route running is really defined, and I think that combined with amazing hands at the catch point and great long speed, when all of those things are combined, that typically brings him into a wide receiver 1 role versus Keon Coleman, who really, one of the biggest things for him coming out of Florida State was just his speed. We've seen his speed translate to the NFL, but his hands have not. As far as Jordan Tyson's medicals, all it takes is one team to look past the medicals and say, we want this player and we're willing to take the risk on the medicals. If the medicals work out and Jordan Tyson is healthy for the majority of his career, he is absolutely worth a pick in the top 10.
Yeah, I thought the Saints might not take this, honestly, because they already have a receiver with huge injury issues, right? Chris Olave. So,
Yep.
going to be interesting to see if they do end up taking Jordan Tyson here. That's going to be a hard team for the training staff. But
Certainly, I think Tyson is a little bit better of a fit than the other 2 receivers next to Chris Olave. I think Tyson's versatility, especially if there were to be another concussion to Olave, Tyson's versatility can put him all over the field. You can put him in the Olave role if Olave misses time, but if Olave's on the outside, Jordan Tyson can operate on the inside or as the Y receiver. I think there's a little bit more versatility with Jordan Tyson, lining him up across from Chris Olave versus the other receivers on the board.
Gotcha. Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs pick here at number 9, and they're going to take edge rusher out of Miami, Rueben Bain Jr.
Yep, so I have Kansas City taking Rueben Bain. I debated between Bain and Mansour Delane, but I went with the best player available, and that's clearly Rueben Bain. Kansas City has a lot of holes to fill in the defense, but none stand out more than cornerback and edge rusher. So here, like I said, best player available, that's Rueben Bain Jr., and I think paired next to Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, he likely won't see a lot of the double teams that he saw in college, meaning that the arm length won't be as much of a factor in the NFL as it was when he was at Miami.
Yeah, that was a huge question mark.
So I think Rueben Bain will absolutely make an immediate impact for the Chiefs next season. This is a team that's looking to get back into contention, and you do that with the best player available on the board, especially picking this high.
Gotcha. And then we go back to the New York Giants. Wait, is this their first pick?
Nope, this is the Giants.
The Giants, right? This is their second pick? That's right.
Yep.
Okay. So you already spoiled this pick earlier. You said he was going to go off the board a few picks later, and here is Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, wide receiver.
Yep, so Carnell Tate goes here to the Giants. I think Carnell Tate is still a top 12 player. I don't think he's the best receiver in this class. I think a lot
Wow.
of him I think a lot of him getting open has to do with Jeremiah Smith taking some of the coverage away.
Okay.
Carnell Tate, he doesn't really possess great long speed. He doesn't have great separation down the field. I don't think he operates as a true X receiver. I think he profiles a little bit more in the slot, as a Y or a Z receiver. Um, He's really good as a blocker. He's really good on the inline. He needs to add a little bit of strength, but he definitely can become, an immediate impact player at the NFL level. I think the biggest thing with Carnell Tate is him at the catch point. He's really good in contested catch situations. Which I think, you can use that all over the field. You can use that on the boundary. You can use that over the middle. So I think here with the Giants, they already have Malik Neighbors, who's a speedster. They put Carnell Tate more in the slot, more as a wide receiver. He doesn't have to operate as that. And I think he'll get the most out of Carnell Tate in New York.